In today's show, flight delays mount nationwide as the shutdown deepens, federal workers brace for missed pay, and a private space company unveils the next frontier in rapid delivery. Plus, streaming ads get silenced, Jerry Jones gets fined, and a lottery winner learns the hard way that money can't buy health, and so much more. And the trivia question, what's the longest place name in the world? I will tell you this, I cannot pronounce it, but I am going to try at the end of the show. It's Wednesday, October 8th. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Hello and welcome back to the Flyover Podcast. I'm your weekday host, Ayla Brown. A quick note, if you enjoy listening to the podcast, you should sign up for the Flyover email edition as well. It goes out every morning to your inbox so you don't miss a headline. The Flyover team also publishes 9 state-specific editions that offer straight, unbiased coverage of the most interesting news in these states. Texas, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, Ohio, Colorado, and Arizona. You can sign up for free to any of them by going to jointheflyover.com. Now, let's take off with the biggest headlines of the day, podcast edition. Let's start with the ongoing government shutdown, which is now hitting U.S. air travel hard. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says more than 13,000 air traffic controllers and 61,000 TSA workers are continuing to work without pay, creating major strain across the system. On Monday alone, flight delays topped 6,000 nationwide, with staffing shortages causing disruptions in Chicago, Denver, Nashville, and Burbank, where the control tower even went unmanned for several hours. Duffy says the airspace is still safe, but warns that additional sick calls or layoffs could cause more shutdowns or delays. And subsidies for rural air travel could dry up by October 12th, threatening service to over 170 smaller communities. Meanwhile, a new White House memo is creating even more uncertainty for federal workers. The document obtained by reporters on Tuesday suggests that furloughed employees may not be guaranteed back pay for the time they've missed. It challenges a 2019 law passed after the last major shutdown, arguing that it only applied to that specific funding lapse. Right now, about 750,000 federal workers are furloughed, and with the Senate failing to pass new funding bills and no House votes scheduled until October 14th, there's little relief in sight. And finally, some news that's out of this world, literally. A California-based company called Inversion has unveiled a new private space cargo vehicle called ARC, designed to deliver supplies anywhere on Earth in under an hour. The idea is to keep these reusable vehicles in low Earth orbit as floating warehouses for the U.S. military and its allies. When needed, one could drop out of orbit and land supplies almost instantly, far faster than traditional air transport. The company hopes to create a network of thousands of ARC vehicles, with the first orbital mission set for 2026. See a promo for these space cargo vehicles in the show notes, and then let me know what you think in the comments section. It's always open. Here's what's happening in politics. First up, the FBI has reportedly fired agents and dismantled its CR-15 public corruption unit, just one day after news broke that private communications and phone calls of several Republican lawmakers were being tracked. Director Kash Patel says the move is part of a broader effort to clean up internal abuses and restore credibility to the agency. Next, the Trump administration is exploring selling off parts of the federal student loan portfolio, particularly the high-performing segments, to private firms. The goal? To raise cash and reduce risk exposure, though critics warn it could lead to higher costs for borrowers. Meanwhile, in the state of Maine, officials are investigating after a resident said her Amazon order included hundreds of unmarked absentee ballots just ahead of November's election. The ballots were reported missing by the town of Ellsworth on the same day she says they arrived on her doorstep. And finally, Governors Gavin Newsom of California and J.B. Pritzker of Illinois are threatening to pull their states from the National Governors Association unless it condemns President Trump's cross-state National Guard deployments. They view the move as a way to pressure the NGA into taking a stand on executive outreach. Here are some podcast extra stories. California just turned down the volume. Literally. I'm not going to do that. But Governor Gavin Newsom signed a new law that bans streaming platforms like Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime from running ads louder than the shows or movies they interrupt. The move mirrors a 2010 federal rule for traditional TV, but fills a gap that left streamers untouched. With California's major influence over the entertainment industry, the rule could effectively set a national standard. Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones has been fined $250,000 by the NFL for making an obscene gesture during Sunday's win over the New York Jets. The incident, which quickly went viral, showed Jones appearing to flip off a Jets fan at MetLife Stadium. Jones later told Dallas radio station 105.3 The Fan that it was a misunderstanding, claiming he meant to give a thumbs up, but put the wrong show of hand. And a British forklift driver who won over $1.3 million in a July scratch-off lottery says his sudden wealth nearly cost him his life. Here's how. Adam Lopez, 39 years old, went from having just $17 to nonstop partying for 3 months before a pulmonary embolism landed him in the hospital. He called the experience a massive wake-up call, admitting he lost all structure after quitting his job. Lopez said the health scare left him unable to walk or breathe and made him realize that money means nothing when faced with mortality. He now plans to spend the next several months focusing on recovery and rebuilding balance. Still to come, a Heisman hopeful eyes a comeback, a so-called mitochondria makeover pill makes headlines, and a California woman's billboard search for love takes an unexpected turn. But first, for everyone asking how I keep my skin fresh and glowing even after long nights and early mornings, the answer is Nimi Skincare. Their gentle, powerful daily cleanser, Nimi Clean, is the foundation of my routine because it removes my makeup, dirt, and oil without stripping my skin, so it stays soft, hydrated, and bright. I follow it with Nimi's 3-step anti-aging routine: clean, treat, moisturize, clinically backed to restore the skin barrier, boost collagen, reduce fine lines, lock in moisture, and brighten for a healthy glow. Proudly American-made, Nimi rivals top international brands while staying true to values of faith, family, and freedom. Right now, Flyover listeners get 15% off with code Flyover at checkout. Visit NimiSkincare.com, use code Flyover, and thank me later. All the information can be found in the show notes below. You're going to love it. In finance, real estate investors are back in a big way. New data shows they bought 1/3 of all single-family homes sold in the second quarter of 2025, up from 27% in the first quarter and the highest share in 5 years. Analysts say investors are jumping back in as housing prices begin to level off in some markets, hoping to lock in properties before mortgage rates drop again. Meanwhile, gold prices hit a record high, rising above $4,000 per ounce for the first time ever on Tuesday morning. The surge comes as more investors look for a safe haven amid market volatility and political uncertainty around the world. And in restaurant news, Chi-Chi's is making a comeback. The Minnesota-born Mexican restaurant chain, which shut down about 20 years ago, just reopened in the Twin Cities. Reservations for opening day were completely booked as locals flock to get a nostalgic taste of the classic brand's return. We have a trivia question about Chi-Chi's coming right up. But first, your stock market update from yesterday. The Nasdaq fell 0.67%, S&P 500 slipped 0.38%, and the Dow Jones dipped 0.20%. Bitcoin also edged lower, down 1.18%, while gold, as we just talked about, continued its rally, climbing 1.5% to just over $4,000 an ounce. The big mover of the day was Trilogy Metals, which soared 211% after the White House announced plans to take a 10% stake in the Canadian mining company, a move that could reshape the North American metals market. In sports, starting with baseball, Dodgers third baseman Max Muncy made a highlight reel play, scooping up a bunt and firing a perfect throw to third base to help Los Angeles beat the Phillies. That clutch defensive stop kept momentum on LA's side as the team now heads into Game 3 in Philadelphia with a 2-0 series lead. See the play in the show notes. Meanwhile, over in the National League, the Milwaukee Brewers took down the Cubs 7-3, powered by a career-best outing from rookie pitcher Jacob Mysarowski. The Brewers also lead their series 2-0 as they head into tonight's matchup. In college football, Oklahoma quarterback John Mateer, a top Heisman contender, could make his return this weekend against Texas. Mateer broke his hand in a game against Auburn last month, but could be clear just in time for takeoff. And finally, in the NBA preseason, top overall draft pick Cooper Flagg made a strong debut for the Dallas Mavericks, scoring 10 points in under 3 minutes, including an impressive acrobatic layup in transition that had fans buzzing. In science and tech, the 2025 Nobel Prize in Physics went to John Clark, Michel Devoret, and John Martin for demonstrating quantum tunneling and energy quantization in electric circuits, effectively showing that bizarre quantum effects can manifest in larger, measurable systems. Meanwhile, new research using data from NASA's Cassini mission suggests that Saturn's moon, Enceladus, might sustain life. Scientists have found fresh organic molecules and icy particles ejected from its geysers, pointing to a possibly habitable underground ocean below the moon's icy crust. And finally, the supplement world is buzzing over urolithin A, sometimes called the mitochondria makeover pill. Lifespan and fitness influencers praise it for improving energy, strength, and cellular health. But clinical trials show it may boost mitochondrial function and endurance in adults and is generally well tolerated. Here are a few more stories to wrap up your day until I get to the trivia question and absolutely butcher the longest place name in the world. First, meteorologists have officially upgraded the June 20th tornado near Enderlin, North Dakota, to an EF5, the first one recorded in 12 years. The storm packed winds of 210 miles per hour, killed 3 people, and carved a 12-mile path of destruction through the area. Meanwhile, in California, a 42-year-old woman took an unconventional route to finding love, buying 6 billboards along Highway 101 after dating apps left her frustrated and alone. The billboards got plenty of attention, but not all of it positive. She says she's been flooded with online bullying and unwanted messages instead of actual dates. See the billboards and read more about this story in the show notes. Down in Tennessee, one city has banned Slammed Enough car show indefinitely after this year's event drew an overwhelming 250,000 people, led to 30 arrests, and generated nearly 1,400 police calls in a single weekend. Officials say they simply don't have the resources to handle that kind of crowd again. And finally, in New York City, hundreds gathered at St. John the Divine Cathedral in Manhattan for the annual Blessing of the Animals, held in honor of the Feast of St. Francis. This year's lineup of participants included dogs, parakeets, a camel, even a baby zebu, a small type of humped cattle that stole the show. Here's the results of yesterday's poll question. Would you fly in an airplane with no windows? I am shocked to give these results, but 49% of you said yes, you would. 36% said no. 15% of you said, I don't fly. Thanks to everyone who voted. I am actually very concerned about your well-being. Here's the poll question for today. Did you ever eat at a Chi-Chi's? Yes, no, maybe not sure, or no Mexican food. I personally have never eaten at a Chi-Chi's. Is it good? How about you? You can vote below in the show notes, and I will read the answers in tomorrow's show. All right, it is time for trivia. What's the longest place name in the world? Now, before I try and attempt this, which I'm not going to be able to, I will say it's a ceremonial name for Bangkok, and it's in the Guinness Book of World Records as the longest place name with an incredible 168 letters. So I'm going to play someone else saying it properly, and then just for fun, I'm going to attempt it as best as possible. Here it goes.
กรุงเทพมหานครอมรรัตนโกสินทร์มหินทรายุทธยามาดิลกพบนพรัตน์ราชธานีบุรีรัมย์อุดรราชนิเวศน์มหาสถานอมรพิมานอวตารสถิตสกตัตติยวัฒนกรรมประสิทธิ์
Okay, did you get that? And I mean no disrespect. It's a beautiful, beautiful word. There's just no way I'm going to be able to do this. So here we go. Krung Krungte mapahan kon amarata soan sokoen mahinthara atahaya madalipokataho nopo harataka chaka ane orabua. I'm just making stuff up at this point. Anyways, I do want to give I didn't get it. It wasn't even close, but I do want to give a shout out to our Flyover editorial team for putting that in today's trivia question for me to attempt to answer. They either want to torture me or they have an incredible sense of humor. Anywho, that's going to wrap up today's Flyover episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me, catching up on the news, learning something about trivia. And don't forget, you can always find us online at jointheflyover.com or your favorite podcast app. Until next time, I'm Ayla Brown, and I'll be back with you tomorrow with more headlines and, of course, a different trivia question. Thanks for flying with us.